Hello. In a genuinely stunning turn of events, here in Southern California, it's raining, but only lightly. This is still somewhat problematic because we're here at my daughter's second track meet of the week. It is raining, but before I get into the topic of the day, I want to say thank you for the offers of sympathy and condolence from people over the loss of Ladybug and Smudge before her. We are carrying on, and I will probably do a video soon talking about them and maybe a tribute or something, but we're carrying on and trying to move on. Appreciate, like I say, all the condolences and sympathies expressed both in my channel here and to Mickey here, Twitter, and all those places. Thank you, everyone. So I'm coming over here in the remote section of the track so I can talk about today's vlog, which is mostly not about track meet, but it does relate to a bigger challenge my daughter Leia Mulan faced this spring. Yes, a bigger challenge than running 2 track meets in a week where she's involved in the distance events. No, not by her biggest challenge this spring by any means. A much bigger challenge for her this spring was telling her dad that somebody might want to ask her out on a date. Now, high school dating, everything else will now be purely hypothetical and not relate to my daughter because she doesn't need her personal life brought out into the public sphere on the internet. But I thought I'd give my advice on dating, not just in high school, because there's no one better equipped to give dating advice. Because when I was in high school, I did not date at all. So clearly I will not be biased by preconceived notions and my own experiences, because I don't have any. I think the important thing to consider when looking at dating is what is the purpose, what is the intention, and not the prize, but the intention of the date should be to try to get to know a person better, to let them get to know you better. And naturally you want to make that the best possible experience for both of you. You want to put yourself in the best light. You want to see them in a fair light, an honest light. And so there are a couple things that I discourage. Hypothetically, I would discourage my daughter from taking these as a first date, or if there was some young man out there who was interested in asking her for a date, not because I don't think she should do them, but because I don't think they make ideal date events. The first being the most common, or one of the most common ones, going to see a movie. Going to see a movie is a terrible date, or at least a terrible early date. Why? Because what do you do when you go to a movie? You watch the movie. And then what do you talk about? You talk about the movie. These are not important things when you're getting to know someone, trying to understand them better and let them understand yourself better. Worse yet, it sort of creates the impression that you're doing more with your time than you actually are, because you spend, a couple hours sitting in the dark. It feels intimate, but it's not really intimate. It feels like you're doing something, but you're not really doing anything. It creates an illusion that more is going on than is going on. Another bad one is picnics, because generally picnics just suck. Probably better than a movie, but you take food out into the open, and I'm sorry, when you have to bring a bag lunch, it just usually doesn't taste that much better. It can be a good experience if you have an established relationship, but if you're trying to make a new relationship happen, you're really worried about trying to figure out how to make this food taste good when it's getting cold and you're dealing with insects and bugs and things, which is, I don't have a problem with being out in the open. It's just not the ideal dining situation. So not a good choice there either. Going for dinner at a nice restaurant, the trouble with that is it too often turns into an awkward, overly formal event. It can be good, but there's so many things that can go wrong. One, the experience can be overly formal if you go out to someplace very fancy. It can be overly casual if you go to someplace too relaxed, because you want to make it special and unique and not the same kind of thing you would do every day. It doesn't impress much if the only way you impress is by how much money you're going to spend on the dinner, which for some people might work, but yeah, not my recommended plan of attack. So I don't recommend movies, I don't recommend picnics, I don't recommend dinners at restaurants. What do I suggest makes a good date, a good early date, first date? In a date, I think it's great if you can present yourself as someone who is passionate, compassionate, empathetic, someone curious about the world, someone who is able to maintain a sense of humor during serious times. These are all good qualities that I think are desirable in anyone, any kind of a friendship or mate relationship. So where can you find those kind of things? Well, you can demonstrate your curiosity by participating in something interesting that you find interesting and the person you're asking out on a date will find interesting. Hypothetically, if you knew a young man or woman interested in the arts, you might want to go to an art museum, but only if something is going on at the art museum. If you have a chance to participate in some activity, that would make it better if there's something to actually do. You don't want to be just stuck in a museum, walking around, looking at things that are just sitting there, because that can get boring. Unless you're already recognized that you're passionate about something, really excited about seeing something hanging on a wall, I would recommend trying to find a museum with an activity going on where you get to, get your hands dirty and work on something. Even better, I would find some kind of community activity where you could work to create something, to fight world suck, to make the world a better place, and participate together in that kind of activity. Whether that's volunteering at a food bank, at an animal shelter, at a community garden, anything like that, awesome, because you're going to be trying to help people. You will see the other person, how they interact with people who need help, and so those make great dates. You're doing good things and they're fun and they're enjoyable, unless you're just somebody that nobody wants to know anyway. So that's a good way to get to know somebody and let them know you. If you are worried about trying to feel too noble with a community service project, then try to get active. Try to do something physical, and no, we're not at that point in the dating relationship yet. So what I mean is, go for a bike ride, go for a hike, go for a horseback ride, go paddling, kayaks or canoes or something. Any kind of activity like that where you can get out in the world and experience things and see things. Try to find something interesting, whether that's an urban environment or a rural environment or the wilderness. These are good ideas. Another idea I can recommend is if you can come up with anything creative, something different, something out of the ordinary. And I can't give you specific details because that won't be creative on your part, but I can offer you one example from my own experience. Is I once took a young lady out and had a good time. We went to the mall, not to go shopping or just to hang out at the food court, but when we got there, the first thing I did was I bought a lot of helium balloons, and I bought, 20, 30, 40, a whole bunch, as many as you can get. And then we just walked around with this big giant bouquet of helium balloons, and every time a small kid would look up at these helium balloons and get that sense of wonder in his eye, we would offer them one and give them one. And it just took a while, and it was fun, and we just chatted about people, and played all those kind of games where you try to imagine their lives, and that was fun. So creative, interesting, different ideas like that are good in my book too. So there you have it, some probably off the wall, probably terrible advice on dating from a guy who never dated in high school and didn't really date much even in college, and not a whole lot anyplace. But just as a hypothetical, anybody interested in asking my daughter out for a date might want to take these things into consideration, because that's what I would have discussed with her. How about you? Any better ideas? Almost certainly you do have better ideas on dating. So let me know down in the comments, and if it doesn't help me, it might help out my daughter. Let me know what your ideas are down in the comments below. And until next time, don't forget to be awesome, and I will talk to you again soon, hopefully. The track meet is over. We're on our way home. It's still drizzling just a little bit. I thought we might want to get a reaction shot to let Mulan know that I did my vlog while you were running your track meet. I gave all my best, I reiterated all my best dating advice. Because I know things haven't changed in the 40 years since I was in high school.
I'm gonna have to go.